afternoon. This is Peg Larson and John Call talking to you about what has happened this past week, especially in terms of local control. Senator Nelson has introduced Senate File 1715, which would allow compensatory to be used, 25% of compensatory to be used for something other than the 11 things that are listed in statute. She has given the House file to Representative Quam, and that House file number is, oh, I'm sorry, her Senate number is 1541. His House file number is 1751. So she has also introduced Senate File 1538 and House File 1703, which she selected Representative Sandra Erickson to carry, since she is the Vice Chair of Education Finance in the House. And that bill gives school districts the right to transfer funds, and it says that the commissioner must approve transfer of funds that school boards and local school districts have approved. The other bill that we are working on is one that I believe will obviously impact all school districts, so we're not really sure who we're going to have as author at this point in time. Just a side note too, Senator Nelson's bills were sent to Finance in the Senate and Education Finance in the House, which is good because that deadline is not until the 21st of April. The other bill we are working on is allowing the capital levy provision to be changed to $300 instead of $150. Now this may possibly raise some taxes, so a couple senators don't really want to touch that bill at this point in time, but we're confident that we have some that are going to step forward and say this is actually a very good idea and give school districts more local control as how they use those dollars. In the House Finance Committee this week, they heard the Education Policy Bill, House File 1151, had some minor amendments, and that was rolled over for possible inclusion into the big bill, which is supposed to come out this coming Friday, which will be obviously earlier than the deadline. And in the Senate, they're still hearing some bills for independent school districts and some other bills that have just kind of been floating out there. They have not announced when they plan on having their bill out yet. I imagine it will be close to the deadline of the House, and then it will go into conference committee. Thank you very much. Here's John Call.
Hello, everybody. It's been, I feel like it's the end of the baton death march after a week like this. Lots of activity, long hours. We're now in that phase after the policy bills have been handled where we're looking at the finances of K-12 and higher education and health and human services and other sectors of the budget, plus bonding is, of course, a big question mark as well. I don't think the House, the Senate, and the governor are anywhere near as far apart as they were when we had different parties in charge of the legislature and the governor's office, so I'm not anticipating this is going to be a long and bloody struggle at the end of the session. The big issue right now is money. These committees that deal with the money have until April 19th. It's the next deadline to get these finance bills out of committee and onto the floor. So the next several weeks are going to be as intense as the last several weeks as far as that's concerned. The one thing that we should keep an eye on is that it is generally felt that the Health and Human Service budget was shortchanged less by the governor's office, but by the House and the Senate, and there's something of a struggle going on in that portion of the budget. There's desire to move more money into Health and Human Services by the proponents of Health and Human Services, and you know, if they were to go where the money is, they might be looking at K-12 funding or other areas of the budget. So we have to be watching that as well. Stay tuned. There'll be quite a bit of important things happening in the next several weeks. Thank you.